I'm going to start. Good morning, everybody. This is Yoga with Via on May 18th. Here's a picture of me on the beach doing yoga with some therapy balls. Maybe a little nudge that maybe you will purchase some therapy balls this week so we can do work with therapy balls in the class. It's lots of fun. Okay, I'm going to pin Kathy. Find Kathy and pin her. And we're going to start the class. In the regular fashion, lying on your back. What happened here? Pin Kathy and
Mom, you're sharing the screen. So I think you should think it.
that's the technical problem. There's Kathy. Okay, we're going to start with Kathy on the big screen. Everybody should have her on the big screen. And lying on your back, supine, with your knees bent, and just watching your breath. So if you want me to occasionally look at you, you have an option to have your video on or off, but if you want me to look at you, which I may or may not do, then be sure that your tile, your little picture, when you look at it, allows me to see your body as you're moving. We're going to do ribcage breathing in a minute, but in the meantime, I'd like to start with vagus nerve reset. So bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, create a little cradle for your occipital ridge, the base of your spine. I'm going to mute everybody, except Kathy. And so in this position, without moving anything but your eyeballs, shift your eyeballs to the right. And wait for a swallow, sigh, yawn, or gulp. And then come back to center and shift your eyeballs to the left. Nothing else is moving, just the eyeballs. You can have your eyes open or closed. Wait for an involuntary sigh, swallow, yawn, or gulp. This is a sign, although not the only sign, by the way, that your vagus nerve has shifted to this restoring, relaxing, healing side of the nervous system. And it's a great way to start a class, or to end a class, or to start anything, a meeting. Go ahead and do this 2 more sets, left, right and left, right and left, without a cue. Finish up. Keep your hands behind your head. We're going to do head ramping. just pressing the base of your skull into your hands and holding for a minute, 30 or 60 seconds. And then release and repeat. Let's repeat it 3 more times. Press the occipital ridge into your hands. The occipital ridge is the back of the base of your skull. And then release. And press. Your chin drops, but it doesn't drop because you're dropping it. It drops because the occipital ridge is pressing into your hands. This is a great move to prevent and correct forward head, text neck, rounded shoulders. One more and finish up. Bring your hands down and make an L with your hands, so the thumb, and hold on to your rib cage just below your breasts. The thumbs go down, the fingers point up. We're going to do rib cage breathing, inhaling, and then exhaling. And as you inhale, the rib cage expands side to side and front to back. Make it big and deep. Try to even feel the air pouring into the back of the rib cage and the lungs. This is a typical Pilates breath, and it's also the breath. My understanding is that the Pilates teachers are saying that a lot of the nurses are having people with COVID-19 do this breath. A nice breath because it focuses on the lungs and the diaphragm. And a couple more of those. We're going to do 2 hypopressives. Hypopressive is a movement practice from Spain that helps with your core, your pelvic floor, your breath, and also incontinence and prolapse. So it does a lot of things for you. So I always include a hypopressive in my class, 1 or 2. Go ahead and start with your toes up and heels stay on the floor, so the feet are dorsiflexed. And then your arms up like you're hugging a tree, up above your chest. And then flip your hands towards the ceiling and press your hands, activate your arms and shoulders by pressing your hands towards the ceiling and your shoulders towards the floor. We're going to take 3 breaths and then hold the breath out after the 3rd exhale for 10 counts. If you can't do it for 10 counts, especially if you're new to this, stop before I do. Stop before I stop counting. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath, inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out, no breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale, and then exhale, and come back to the start position. We're going to do that one more time. Come back into your shape. Dorsiflex your feet. The palms are facing the ceiling. Inhale. You're hugging a tree. Palms are facing the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out, no breath. You should feel a scoop in the belly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good work, everybody. Come on back. Inhale and exhale and return to the floor. We're going to do 3 supine movements for the hip. They're all resistance, Kihara resistance movements. The first one is to take your right leg, keep the left leg either bent knee or is extended. Take the right leg straight up to the ceiling and hold on to the back of the thigh. Straight leg, make your leg straight. Now, try to keep your hip on the floor. So Kathy, if you want to drop your hip a little bit, can you drop your hip a little bit more? Drop your hip. Maybe not. So, and the other thing I see about you, Kathy, is you need to put more washcloths under your head because you're hyperextending a little bit on the back of your head. So the leg goes straight up, but you're not bringing it forward. You're trying to create a 90-degree angle with your pelvis and your femur. Now you're resisting this movement. So the leg goes back towards the hand resists. And when the hand brings the leg forward, the leg resists. So you're going back and forth, always moving very slowly. You can use a strap if you want. If you can't reach the leg, use a strap. But back and forth you go. And the other way to modify if you can't reach is to put some pillows under your back so you're more like in a lounge chair, and then you'll be able to reach your leg. So back and forth, try to do this with a lot of awareness, and remember you're resisting. The resistance, Kihara resistance practice actually stretches the muscle very nicely, very efficiently at the belly of the muscle. Most stretching practices actually are stretching at the ends of either end of the muscle. This is creating both strength and flexibility. In this case, we're working on the medial hamstring. So when you come forward, when the hand pushes forward, the thigh pushes the other direction. So you should always be feeling a resistance. It's like a dance. Find your own This is a straight leg medial hamstring stretch, or central hamstring stretch. Do a couple more. If I don't say how many to do about 6. Unless you have more time, then do more. And more time and more. Some of these Kihara exercises will really fatigue you. Go ahead and switch sides, everybody. You'll fatigue very easily, and you want to stop. At the very least, you want to stop then. So straight leg, the thigh. You're holding on to the thigh or a strap, and put some pillows behind your back. And then create the resistance, a resistance between your hand and your thigh. And go back and forth. So sometimes the hand wins, and sometimes the thigh wins. And when you're going back away towards your feet, you are creating strength in the muscle, and when you're coming toward you, you're creating stretch. Kihara stretch number 2. Stop doing what you're doing. Bring your bend your knees. How am I going to describe this one? This is a medial stretch. You're going to put your hand, you're going to bring your knee up towards your face. Put your hand and take your knee out a little bit to the side. And then hold on to your heel with your right hand. And now you want to drop your heel. So you want to drop your heel towards your butt and then lift it up to the sky. And that is the movement. So that's the back and forth movement. The resistance, you can use a ball behind your head. Yes. So the important thing about this stretch is that you want to be sure that the heel is moving towards the center of the buttocks as opposed towards the other leg. And if you need to change how far your bent knee is out to the side to find that position, go ahead and do that. This is personal to each one. When your leg is coming up toward the ceiling, you're stretching the medial hamstring, the medial hamstring. And then when it's coming down, you're strengthening, and you might want to make the strengthening a little bit longer. This is, again, Kihara. You're always moving and always resisting the movement. So the heel, the resistance point is the heel and the hand. If you feel this down the center of your hamstring, you're in good shape. Yeah, right there. Switch sides, everybody. So remember, your knee is falling out to the outside a little bit, and you're holding on to the heel and creating a resistance stretch pattern. And breathing. So this is a dance, it's not a competition. So if you feel like you're going too really hard at it, you may want to back off a little bit. And the heel comes down towards the center of the buttocks. That's where you're aiming for. And the movement is in the foreleg. The bent knee actually stays kind of where it is. And one more of these. the last, go ahead and finish that up. Bring your knees back to bent and your feet on the floor. And then take your left leg a little bit farther away, not away that way, away to the outside. So that, because you're going to drop your right bent knee into the center. Keep your knee bent and drop it into the center. That's it. We're going to do a quad stretch, a resistance quad stretch. So the right knee bent drops into the center, and then you put your left ankle on top of the right knee. That's the resistance point. And then pushing down, so the ankle pushes the knee down, and then the knee pushes up and the ankle resists, or the heel resists. So up and down you go. This should feel really good. I think it's one of my favorite stretches. Quad stretch with resistance. And up and down you go. When you're going down, this is the stretch side. When you're coming up, the strength side. So once again, you're stretching and strengthening your quadriceps. One more, and then switch sides. And this time you're dropping the left knee into the center, creating resistance with your right ankle, your right heel, and back and forth you go. So try not to move the hips. It's not about rocking side to side so much as it is about this quad muscle stretching. And it's depending on your own current range of motion. This is an internal rotation at the hip. Depending on your own current range of motion here, this may be smaller or larger. And just do 3 more. Remember that when you're coming down and the heel is winning, the knee on the bottom is resisting. That's the stretch part. And when the knee is winning and the ankle is resisting, that's the strength part of the move. Okay, everybody finish up. Come up to seated. Choose your favorite floor-seated position. Maybe Kathy can demonstrate a few of them because Virginia is new and she might like some clues. So there's the lotus, or the, actually it's not quite a lotus because that's not available, but it's cross-legged position. And then there's what I call, it's both directions. And then do the stacked knee pose. This is one of my favorites. And then another one would be the I call it knee Z because it's a Z shape, bent knee Z shape. If you do this, this is not symmetrical, so you might want to put something under the sinking hip, whichever side is sinking, to make the spine align a little better. And the last one you could show is the bent knee, sitting on your bent knees, like a hero's pose in yoga. This may or may not be available. You could put a brick under any of these. You could put a brick underneath your hips to do this. Or if none of these are available to you, sit in a chair. Let's start with a floor-seated or chair-seated spine twist. Put your hands into prayer pose in front of you. Tuck your fingers under your chin. This is just to stabilize your heads so that the only thing you're twisting is your spine. And then to the right, we're going to twist, just twist the rib cage to the right. And come on back to center. So do this very slowly and quietly. You're isolating the rotation of the thoracic spine. So go to the left. This is not a very big movement, but you should feel it as you rotate. This is a thoracic spinal rotation. It's smaller than the one you might find in your traditional yoga class because we're trying to get the spine to rotate purely in this rotation, in this direction. The reason your hands are under your chin is so that you don't start to move the cervical spine in a rotation. So we're keep it simple, keep it small, keep it quiet, and rotate back and forth. And then when you finish your most recent set, just drop your hands, and we're going to do a seated, floor-seated, or chair-seated side bend. Also, the simplest of simple side bends. All you're going to do is just drop your right shoulder and your arm down towards the floor. Your elbow will bend. If you'd like to, you can put your hand at your rib cage, your other hand at your rib cage, so you're kind of like a teapot. Mm-hmm. So, you're crunching on one side and opening on the other side. Stay here and breathe. Feel all of that. Keep your hips even on the floor or the chair. And then slowly bring yourself back up to seated. Other side. So you're just dropping to the side, bending the elbow of the hand that's on the floor, making a teapot with your other hand, teapot handle. Stay here and breathe. Keep your hips on the floor so that this isolates the side bend is only in the at the waist and the thoracic. So it's lumbar thoracic. Stay here and breathe. Come back up. Slowly up. Let's go ahead and do the thoracic rotation again and see if we can get more of a range of motion because we just did a side bend. So just bring your hands to your into prayer pose, tuck them under your chin, and then rotate feel the rib cage moving to the right, and then slowly back to center and left. Some of you will find more rotation because you did a side bend. So if that happened, notice. If it didn't happen, that's okay too. Be sure you're sitting tall in all these floor-seated positions. And finish up. We're going to do a chest opener with your clasp hands behind you. Bring your hands behind you, clasp them, and then straighten them out behind you. You're there. Go ahead and sit sideways, Kathy, so people can see. So sit tall, bring your hands as high as you can behind you, and stay in good posture. So that may be very small for you. This might be a brand new move for you. And so, but you can feel the opening that happens in the chest. If you can't, your hands can't clasp behind you, go ahead and hold on to a strap. Stay here and breathe. Feel the opening in the chest, but try not to puff out the rib cage. So the chest is open, but the spine stays straight and stacked. The shoulders are stacked directly over the hips. And then go ahead and release, and we're going to shake it out, and then we're going to try it again. Bring your arms behind you. Clasp your fingers, sit tall, and lift your hands if you can. And drop your chin a little, Kathy. Yeah, so good posture, seated is stacked. The hips are stacked directly under the shoulders, and the ears are also directly over the shoulders. Let me show you an alternative to this that'll get you also open. Just put your hands behind you. Now put your hands behind you with your fingers away from you or forward, either one, or on your wrists if you have problems with your wrists. And then open your chest that way. So use your hands to open your chest. So you can see this is an alternative, but try, let's see, should I tell you to try to sit up taller? I think so, Kathy. Sit up as tall as you can. Use your hands on the ground as sticks to open the chest. So this is an alternative to what we just did. And also a nice chest opener. Bonus, and we're going to stay here also and do a few more wrist exercises. Bonus exercise, take off your socks. We're going to do an exercise we did before for bunions, to prevent and reverse bunions. So I think I demonstrated it, Kathy demonstrated it before in a supine figure 4 position, but I think maybe it's easier here. So sit so that you can be playing with your big toe on one side, basically, one side of your foot. So probably in a lotus, cross-legged position of some sort. It's probably going to have to be on the floor, Kathy, because your foot is, because you want some resistance from the floor. Put your hand, the palm of your hand, on top of the side of your big toe, and then press into the palm. So you're pressing in, and then with the other hand, you might be able to feel that you're activating a muscle that runs from the big toe along the side of the foot. That's the muscle that gets weak and allows the bunion to form. So pressing the big toe into your hand. This is an isometric. You're not going to press the other direction. You know why? Because you've been pressing on your big toe the other direction for years and years and years and decades. So you don't do that. Press it away from the other toes into your hand. Now, let me say that when you first start doing this, it could be very, very small, or maybe you won't feel it at all. And go ahead and release and do it again a couple more times, pressing into that toe, that hand with that big toe. And see, you will see the activation. If your other hand you can put on that muscle that's activated by your movement. And then switch sides. And I hope I did a better job of describing that this time, because last time it was a little confusing. So there's the big toe, the side of the big toe. You're going to put your palm of your hand on the top of the side of your big toe, and then just push up into the palm. So the big toe is pushing up. You might be able to give yourself feedback by noticing the muscle that runs along the side of the foot. You're starting to activate that. That's the bunion move of the week. I think it's the most effective bunion move I've come across. But anytime you spread your toes, it helps with that too. We're going to add, because Leslie, there's the mom that forgets which daughter is which, example of that. Leslie, can you tell us your story about what you're doing? Because we're going to do some wrist movements for everyone, but also for Leslie.
I am writing postcards to get people to vote in the election on November 3rd. We in Chicago, we send them to Wisconsin and the Michigan so we can try to flip the states back. Anyway, I'm doing 200 postcards. It's a lot of writing.
And show the postcard. So I thought maybe we should too.
This is the postcard. And this is how much I have to write on every postcard.
She handwrites on every postcard. That's crazy. Anyway, we're going to do 3 movements, a triplet of 3 movements. You know, I teach in triplets, in 3s, because people absorb information in chunks. And this is a chunk that is the wrist series. The first thing we're going to do is actually it's a reverse prayer. I'm going to switch back to Kathy, because I know Leslie doesn't. I'm going to really hear from you on that. I'll never hear the last of that. Oh well. Okay. Sit. You can sit in a chair or you can sit in a floor-seated position. Bring your hands to your heart in prayer pose, and now the right fingertips go out away from you and down. So this is the movement. This is the wrist movement that is created. I call it reverse prayer. Although it's not really that either. Just stay here and breathe and feel the stretch in both wrists. Breathe, sit tall, line your spine up. Nice work, everybody, and switch to the other side. It's easiest to start with prayer pose, especially in the beginning. And then the left fingertips go forward and down. And then you've created another wrist stretch. Fantastic. Uber wrist stretch. Just stay here and breathe, get tall, stay tall. And then that's the end of that one. I call this one the awkward hands movement. You can shake if you want between these wrist and hand movements. And then bring your arms in front of you, palms facing each other. The other direction, Kathy. Palms face back of the palms. Sorry, that was my error. Back of the palms facing each other, and then take the right hand and lift it and over the left, and then clasp the fingers. Now, from there, just bring your arms down and up towards your chest, or as close as you can get it. So they're in front of you, and this is good for your fingers and your wrists. And just stay here and breathe and appreciate your wrists and your fingers. We'll do the other side in a minute. Release, shake. Other side. Hands out in front of you. Cross the left hand over the right. Interlace the fingers and come on down again. So just do the opposite side. Sit tall. Breathe. And then shake it out. The last of the triplet we're going to do is just pure fingers. So just put one hand out in front of you, palm facing you, in front of your face, palm facing you. Drop your elbow. Drop your elbow and straighten your wrist, Kathy, so the palm fingers are up to the ceiling. That's what I'm looking for. That's good. And from here, with your other hand, just take your little finger and press it away from you. Take the on the other, so you're using the one hand to press the finger out. So if you sat sideways, Kathy, maybe people could see what you were doing. So one finger, and then just keep going down the row. 2. This is good for finger arthritis also. And you could do this for a lot of times. We're running out of time, so we're not going to do it but once, one set. And do the thumb as well. You could come back the other direction. You can do more than of these. You don't need to press your hands forward so much because we do that more often. So just the backward. Now, other side, starting with the pinky. Not that flexion here. So this is extension of the finger at the lowest joint. Flexion is a good movement, but if you have arthritis, this is probably what you'd want to do. Come up to, after you're finished, shake it out and come up to standing. We're going to do balancing on one foot with a compass. I am going to share the screen and see if I can do what I think I can do. Yes. Well done, Via. Okay. So everyone look at this. We're not going to be able to do this perfectly, but the balancing, we're going to use the compass shape to balance on one foot and then take the other foot and point the toe. Like you can even think of tapping north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest. You're not going to be able to get all the way around to west. You're going to miss one of them. But everyone look at that. And now we're going to look at Kathy. So if, I'm going to stop the share. So Kathy's going to stand on her right foot to start. And then the left foot is going to go north. And then actually Kathy, I would go out to this side and then come back to north. So she's north, northeast. This is a balancing pose, so you're going to need something to balance on or to come back to if you need it. So in an ideal world, you are on just one foot without any help. But when you're just beginning, not so much. So tap on those 8 points. So out to the side, behind you at an angle. Yeah. Keep your feet closer to the floor, Kathy. Keep your feet closer to the floor. Almost like you're tapping your toes on the floor. And then front, and then out on an angle, and then directly out to the side, out on an angle behind you, directly behind you, and then try to go back behind your other leg at least one compass point, and then come on back. So the idea is to do this. This is good for your hips too. Someone pointed that out to me. She said her hips felt better last class after we did this. So if you can, do this without touching a safe spot or with just lightly touching it. And just do a couple repetitions and then switch to the other side. If this is hard for you, just stand on one foot and lift the opposite knee and foot off the floor. You can stop and switch to the other side, Kathy. So you could have a chair or a wall or the back of a couch, but something that's near you. This is a great one to do in the grocery store while you're using the shopping cart as a safe point. You can see how you need more stability to do this dynamic balancing pose than you do if you just have your knee, if you're just in one static position. Help us prevent falls. We're going to skip the next two because I'm running out of time and I want to be sure we get a back extension in. So wiggle your toes and whatever you want to do to transition and come onto the floor for the last triplets, the last set, chunk. One of the reasons I use 3 is that you could make a small practice out of 3 pieces, 3 free movements. Kathy's going to lie on her belly, prone, and we're going to start right away with a back extension, which I try to include in every class. And this has 2 progressions, but if you can only do the first one, stay at the level 1, that's fine. But repeat at level 1. So lying on the floor with your arms straight at your side, palms up, and your head is on the floor. 2. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift your chest, your head, and your hands. Stay here, get a little higher if you want or if you can. And inhale to prepare and exhale to return. That is level 1. If you feel this in your lower back, you've gone too high, you need to make your movement smaller or slower or stop altogether. This is an upper back strengthener. If you have osteoporosis, even if you have osteoporosis and your bones are weak, if you have a strong upper back extensors, you will be less likely to fall, which is one of the reasons I include this. Level 2, inhale to prepare, exhale, lift. We're going to do the same level 1 first, and then we'll move through it. Stay here, inhale to prepare, exhale, the arms come out to the side like an airplane, palms down. Stay up. Make sure your head is level, your cervical spine level with your thoracic spine. Let's come on down, inhale, and then exhale, come on down, because that was pretty exhausting. We're going to do it again. The third level is to bring your arms up beside your ears, in front of you, palms facing each other like Superman or Superwoman. Remember, if that's too hard for you, stay at the level 2 or 1. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift your chest, your head, your hands. Inhale, stay here, and then exhale, come to airplane. Inhale and exhale, the arms come by your ears, palms facing each other. Stay here if you can, and then inhale, and then exhale. Come on, all the way back down. Very nice, very nice. That was probably enough back extension for today. One of the things I've loved is watching Kathy's upper back get stronger as we do this, and it will happen also to you. Lie down on the floor. You can rest for a minute. You could rest with your head resting on your folded arms if you want. Take some breaths. And then bring your arms out in a T. We're going to do another upper back mobility movement. This is more for mobility than strength. Kathy's looking to the left, and so she's going to take her left leg, lift it off the floor, and then take it back over her opposite leg. Her hips shift to accommodate this movement, and but her armpits and her arms and her shoulders remain on the floor. And so do yours. Come on back. Other side, look to the other side. Looking to the right leg comes up and hovers and moves across behind the opposite leg. And stay here and breathe. This is one that gets better and better. It starts very small, gets better and better. And come on back. And find your way onto your back for the 61-point guided meditation to close the class. This is a yoga nidra meditation where I'm going to mention various 61 body points for you to pay attention to but not move. And I'm going to stop my video while I do this. You start with attention to your breath, just breathing in and out. So let me say, before we get any farther into this, you may want to put a small washcloth over your eyes. You may want to put a blanket over your body if you're in a cold room. So the idea is for you to be very, very comfortable. Breathing, watching the breath. And now bring your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, left elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, right ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. This completes the 61-point guided Yoga Nidra meditation. Go ahead and extend your legs. And extend your arms over your head. And wiggle and stretch and see if you can create more space between your rib cage and your pelvis, more than there is. Varies from body to body. But try to create a little more space there and wiggle, stretch, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And finally, hug your right knee into your chest and then your left. And then hug both knees into your chest and rock from side to side. And roll towards the camera, the computer. Stay in a fetal position with your head resting on your bottom bent elbow. You do this before you come up to seated so you won't get dizzy. This is the safest way to come up to a seated position from a floor position. Put your hand on, your top hand on the floor and push yourself up to a seated position. Find your favorite floor seated position, and we're going to close the class with Namaste. Bring your hands to your heart in prayer pose. And drop your occipital ridge, nod it forward over your C1 vertebra, the top vertebra. And we'll close the class by saying to each other, Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna
Thank you, dear. See you
Bye.
Thursday.
Great class.
And talk if you'd like to. And I do want to say that that I hope that Leslie's wrists and fingers feel better with our
Ready to write 70 more today.